Life is much better. An Iboga trip report from Irwin, published on January 24th, 2010. So I'd like to explain the Iboga experience after actually experiencing it myself. I wouldn't know where to start, but I suppose I will start from the beginning. I went to my girlfriend's on the Friday night, and to be honest I was pretty apprehensive, and it was going to be a big thing for me. I had already decided that. The first thing was that I was really hungry, as there was to be no eating before the Iboga trip, and also no water a certain amount of time before it. I was nervous, hungry and very thirsty. Not the combination to take drugs to, you would have thought. But I think the most important thing to point out is that this is not a drug, and I will explain later why I think that. I started with a tester dose, which were 2 tablets, which had about 0.5 grams in each tablet. We sat and watched The Simpsons, and unbelievably my paranoia seemed to really calm down and I was okay. There were no real weird occurrences till about an hour later, when my girlfriend shouted me from the kitchen and her voice echoed like in a cave. I suppose it was then I knew things were getting different. I then proceeded up to my bed, where it was all set up cold turkey style. There was a mattress, cover, some toilet roll and a bucket. I sat there for a minute and then took my dose. I think there were about 6 tablets to take, so that upped my dose in all to 8 tablets, which in total was 4 grams of Iboga root bark. It was about 10 minutes after that I suddenly had a big bout of paranoia again. I remember thinking if I can go and force myself to be sick, then I might avoid this whole thing. Reasoning prevailed though, and I just thought about all the crap that I've had with drugs and sat there. And I sat there. It must have been about an hour and a half before anything happened, and then, fucking hell, did something happen. The first thing that I noticed was my body start to feel incredibly heavy, almost like being very drunk, but without the crappy feeling that comes with it. To be honest, I really enjoyed the feeling, but I can see how it could be a bit heavy for some people. So, I laid back and looked about me. I only had a dim light on, but nothing much seemed to be happening as far as visuals went. My girlfriend suggested that I turn the light off and shut my eyes. Then it started. The first thing I remember seeing was my own eyes in front of me when I shut my eyes. It was very strange, and I almost felt like I wasn't part of myself, and I was looking in on my own brain. My brain seemed to be represented by this massive green neon matrix type thing, and I was looking at it. It also seemed to be sectioned off into different folders, almost like some kind of computer system. Then the vision started, and it was almost every time I shut my eyes. I would start going towards a different folder at what seemed like light speed, and then visions would hit me at 100 miles an hour. It was quite intense at first, and a lot to take in. And it wasn't just closed eye visuals either. The neon experience then followed me into the bathroom as well, as I could see Vitruvian Man by Leonardo da Vinci, you know, the one they have on Panorama, and also visions of men shooting discs and things from a big cannon, all of which were in neon. But it was the closed eye visuals that were the most intense. I saw, and was there, with a big gang of Asian youths fighting against the police, and almost had a conversation with a man named Jamal, who was fighting for a cause he didn't believe in. Everything seemed to have relevance and importance, and I had to just try and sort it out in my head, which at the time was very mixed up and all over the place, I would have thought. The main vision that made the difference, I feel, was seeing myself as a school child when I had a fight with a very popular kid at the school. I remember everyone turning on me and chasing me across the field. I bumped into 2 so-called friends at the time who also rejected me. I remember being so upset and so angry at the rejection that the rest of my life I had tried so hard to be friends with people. Often people I didn't like, just to feel wanted. Again, this felt resolved as I saw it, and I seemed to feel better after seeing it. And then came the big one. I started to see myself, but from another person's point of view. almost like seeing someone that looked exactly like me. He was walking along, me that is, and suddenly he started to be attacked and beaten and then murdered. It was quite scary at first, but then I saw different versions of the so-called me being beaten, shot, hung, stabbed, electrocuted, and in fact every type of execution you can really think of. This to me was the murder of the old me and the birth of the new me. I also felt much better afterwards. I don't know how long these visions lasted, but my girlfriend was checking in on me all the time, and apparently I was trying to explain, and I was just talking gibberish. This went on into the next day as well. The day after I was still pretty gone, but I wasn't hallucinating, and then the purging started. I've always had a bit of a weak stomach, but I've never been sick like it in my life. I worked out I must have been vomiting for at least 2 hours, and it was one of the most grueling experiences I've ever had. As you can imagine, there wasn't a lot to vomit, but somehow I found stuff in my body to vomit up. I think it was mainly acid and crap, but I believe it was more, and I think it was all the poison I had inside me. I know, a little spiritual, but I do think that's what happened. Then at the end I was very drained and tired, but I couldn't sleep. My body was fucked, but my mind was like a circuit board buzzing with all this new space I'd made in my brain. So, I suppose you want to know what's happened. Well, this is how it is. I'm now completely drug-free and haven't had a single craving since I took the Iboga. I feel much happier, much more awake and more active. I feel like I have a new lease of life, and that I really have a chance now of turning my life around. I've been sleeping less, but I've had more energy. Worked that one out. And I've been walking the dogs, which I never did before. But I must point out that my life isn't perfect. I haven't got a job, I've got no money. I've had to think about being friends with people I know, and have had to really want to change to keep up the positivity. So it hasn't just been that I took the Iboga and life is perfect. In summary, life isn't perfect, but it's a million times better than it was.